life is messy and unpredictable.
Being able to find joy in the weeds of life is so important. I'm Beth.
And I'm Kim, and we are so glad you've joined us as we figure out how to hold joy in one hand and struggle in the other.
Welcome to Joy in the Weeds.
There we do it again. We're getting good at that.
We're here.
Not all that silence.
I love your hair. It's so golden.
Oh, thank you. I really literally did nothing to it today.
Me neither. This is
au naturel.
Yeah, mine is au naturel too. This is like straight out of the shower.
Oh, I didn't even take a shower yet. I basically came home from working out and turned my computer on.
That's awesome. All right, today is the day.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun. We're talking about menopause. And listen, if you're a man, please still listen, especially if you have any woman in your life at all. I mean, if you're completely single on your own and have no desire, well, still listen.
If you're
you have
completely
a mother.
single on your own, you might want to do it anyway.
Anyway, well, in all honesty, I feel like one of the biggest problems with this topic is we don't talk about it. And I know people are starting to talk about it, but I'm just saying in just everyday circles, it's not something you just talk about, is what I'm trying to say. And it should be more widely talked about because it's normal.
Yeah, it is normal.
And today it's the joy in weeds because...
Oh, there is some joy.
Or finding the joy in the midst of the weeds, which is sort of the whole point of this podcast. So we're going to really...
just cut the weeds down. Poison those bloody weeds. Get rid of them.
We need a little, what is that? Roundup. Of course, that's not good stuff, but you know what I'm talking about. We just need to obliterate them. Okay. So I was thinking about this and how to tackle this topic. Yeah. And I thought maybe we just kind of start from the beginning with each of us. Disclaimer here. Neither of us are experts, except that we are living experts.
Right. We're experts of our own story and what we have learned because of our own story.
Correct. This is, though, one of those topics, and I think one of the challenges with talking about it is I've often heard women get into when they do get into conversations about this. Sometimes I have heard other women quickly shut down for what their experience is because it's not someone else's experience. And so I want us to tackle this topic with great kindness and empathy towards each other's experience. And we are only sharing ours. And I guarantee you that menopause experience is as unique as individuals are, which means there's no two exactly the same. And so finding a way to, we just want to acknowledge that straight up front, that we are not saying this is the experience. We're just saying this is our experience. And I think it's important because there will be some people that relate to parts of each of our stories, I'm sure. But then also just acknowledging that we are going through something, I think is important and maybe can encourage women to, at the very least, start acknowledging that there's something going on.
Yeah. Because you can't do anything about anything that you don't acknowledge.
Correct.
I was going to say you can't fix what you don't acknowledge, but I don't like that word because we're not broken. No. Experiencing menopause or whatever, there's no brokenness. It can be very challenging, and we're not broken.
Right. And I think that's why I want us to spend some time talking about it. And we're going to actually do some other podcasts that are where we bring in experts that deal with specific types of issues around menopause and kind of make this a continued conversation, like we do other things. It's not like a one and done situation here. So but yeah. All right. So
I don't even know. I'm thinking, okay, so how do we jump into the story? So like I don't even have a question to ask to to
I have a question.
okay.
My question is for you, and then I'll answer it, but let's start with you. Like, when was the first moment, or do you remember a time when something was going on and you're like, "Hmm," and started attributing it to menopause or perimenopause? Like, where was perimenopause, like, you were like, "Oh, okay, got something going on here."
Well, I think as I look back, I think what happened is there was just this slow slight changes um that I was like, I'm in my 40s, things are happening. Um and then at I don't know if I think I was 47. Um at 47 I had mid-cycle bleeding.
Mm,
And that was the moment, like from that moment on, it was living hell for a year and a half.
mm,
So everything was tolerable, things were fine, life was changing, and it was okay. And then I had that mid-cycle bleeding. I went to the doctor because if you had mid-cycle bleeding, you better go to the
right,
doctor,
right,
you know.
right. I mean, yeah.
And from that moment on, it was awful. Like
So what was awful?
everything. I hit this horrible depression.
Mm,
I couldn't sleep, like, at all. Like,
yeah.
there was no sleep. There was no sleep. I was in a state of suffering that I've never been in before, and there was no escape.
Mhm.
I did not know what to do. I was functioning like like a I was gonna say half a human being, but it wasn't even a half a human being. I
Yeah.
was not functioning.
So one thing that's really interesting about this perimenopause and menopause is that perimenopause, every single one of your symptoms can be caused by something else.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so it's really easy to spend a lot of time trying to figure out
Yeah.
what's going on. I had mid-cycle bleeding as well. And of course, you go to the doctor. Not one person said to me perimenopause. It was trying to figure out what else might be causing it. Mine
Really?
was extreme and severe. I've always had very, very heavy menstrual cycle, like always very heavy bleeding. But then it got to a point where I literally couldn't I couldn't get through. Like, I was in college at the time, so this would have been like 2006. You know
Wow.
how old I was then. How old was I? Um,
I don't do math. I have no idea.
yeah, hang on a second.
Well, it was 17 years ago.
And I'm 54.
Whoa. You were like 30 something,
Yeah.
late 30s.
Um,
This
37. But
started
I
for you
started
when you were 37?
yeah, but I started my period when I was 9.5.
Oh, God bless you.
So, but anyway, so nobody said it could be perimenopause. Nobody attributed any of it to that. And so, put me through the ringer trying to figure out what was going on. I ended up having an ablation that really didn't it did help but it didn't. It's supposed to completely stop you from having any periods after that, like
Yeah, that's what I've
bleeding,
heard.
and it didn't do
Bleeding
that
is
at
the problem. I mean, it can be the problem.
yes.
Bleeding is not comfortable.
No, but it was for me, it was so extreme I couldn't get through a class in college, no matter what protection I
Whoa.
was using. Um,
Good grief.
so I mean, it was miserable. But at the same time, like, and then I had, and then I had, and then I had, like you said, I don't think I have slept through the night soundly since I hit 40. So we're talking 15 years
Good night.
of walking around extremely sleep deprived. And, everyone, so when you say I'm not sleeping, what people say is, okay, you need to take melatonin,
Yeah,
you
right.
need to get a better sleep environment,
Right.
you need to
Do
do a
all the
sleep
things. Yeah.
study, you need to and that's what I'm trying to say is that I hope if you're experiencing any of these symptoms and you're a woman in your 40s,
Well, not
50s,
even in your 40s. That's why
'cause
I looked like I was looking away for a minute because I follow a woman on TikTok she is an expert in menopause, and I'm
yeah,
so grateful for this woman. Her name is Dr. Mary Claire. So if you're on TikTok,
yeah,
follow this woman. She says your perimenopause symptoms can start as early as 35. So
yeah.
don't wait till you're 40.
Well, and mine was 37,
Exactly.
where when it all started, and yet never did I attribute it that till I was closer to 50.
Wow.
So do you see like a whole decade
Of
of
suffering.
trying to suffering and trying to figure out why I'm so broken
Mm-hmm.
and what it is that and how to fix me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, that's quite a toll.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite a toll.
I don't
Um
even think we could like quite a toll doesn't even come close to
yeah.
what it is.
Yes. Yes, it's a lot. It's a lot. Listen, I also know that there are women and what I said at the very beginning, I'm sure that there are women listening to this say, "I don't have anything." I mean, my mother is one who claims she had absolutely 0 symptoms. Um, and I know that there are people out there who will say they don't have any symptoms, and that's great. More power to you. Like, be thankful.
The thing though with that message though, and maybe it's because of my own shame filter, what I hear, it may not be the message that they're giving, but what I hear is, "Oh, I don't have any symptoms. I might get the odd hot flash every once in a while." So that means that there's something wrong with me because my symptoms are severe.
Right.
That's the message I get. Now,
Right.
that may not be the message they
And
intend,
all
but
I'm
that's the
trying
message
to
I get.
say is we don't yeah.
Deep
Again,
breath.
we're just sharing our stories. We're just sharing our stories.
Right. So if you don't
Yeah.
have symptoms, more power to you.
Okay,
Be
so yours
compassionate
was
towards those who do,
yes,
and there's nothing
compassion.
wrong with them.
Compassion. I guess what I'm more interested in is women that are in their 30s
Yeah.
or in their 40s and they're struggling with things and they're having irregular periods. So because they're having a regular period, everyone they're
Assumes.
just they're not attributing it to that and or considering that as an option that
Yeah.
they might hear this and say, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Um anyway, so you were miserable. Let's go
Oh.
back to your story.
Um, not only I was miserable, yes. I also was having real pain. Like I for years my periods were getting heavier and heavier.
Mhm.
Um, and I had these pains in my abdomen
Mm,
that I was like, something something's n- something's not working. So I didn't go to my gynecologist, and I don't know which one came first, but I had a um oh, this is probably after because I went to the gynecologist and they actually said perimenopause.
mm,
So they were not concerned. Went back a week later, said I was so depressed, gave me an antidepressant, which
mm,
actually, and that worked against me in my system, but I didn't know that for a year and a half. Now, I'm not against antidepressants. I think
right.
antidepressants are the most wonderful thing in the world.
Yes.
I was even
If
taking a similar antidepressant to what my daughter was taking. It works for my daughter. It did not work for me, which is very, very strange because we're in the same family. That's not the point. So then I was getting this pain. It was in my back and in my belly, and I was like, and I would palpitate, and I'm like, that hurts. So I went to my regular nurse practitioner, and she palpitated, and I flinched, and she's like, So she sent me to my gynecologist, and for a year and a half, I was saying, take my uterus out, take it 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 out.
Mm-hmm.
And we did every test under the book to figure out what else was going on until finally, she said, we'll take it out. And when she took it out, a year and a half later, and it was the worst year and a half of my life, she said, oh, it's a good thing we took that out because you had endometriosis, you had polyps, which is precancer. Hello, people. And there was a third thing that I can't remember what it was, but I think it was attached something to do with my ovaries. So there were literally 3 reasons that my uterus should have been removed. There were 3. And nobody listened to me.
Yeah.
And it was a female gynecologist. Take it out. And when it came out, my life changed.
Hmm.
And they took my ovaries too. I was almost 50. So she said, we're gonna go ahead and take your ovaries because that will lessen your chances of ovarian cancer. So we're just gonna take it all. I was like, you can have it.
I think that's one of the biggest issues through this whole journey is being heard
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
people listening to you. It's really hard to find physicians
Mhm.
or anyone who really listens to you
Mhm.
and gets that there's actually, anyway, to follow up that there's actually anything going on.
Mhm.
I just had, we'll get to my story a little bit. It's okay.
Oh,
I've had an issue with being listened to too.
and you would think that your gynecologist would listen. And I get that they have to rule things out. It wasn't my
Yeah.
stomach, it wasn't my intestines, I wasn't having digestive issues.
Mhm.
My uterus was messing with me. One time I took a Sharpie and I Sharpied where the pain, like when I was palpitating my own stomach, I Sharpied where the pain was.
Hmm.
Oh, guess where that was? Where my uterus sits.
Yeah. All right. So you had the surgery, had it taken out.
Yes.
What was the next?
It was the best thing in the world. Oddly enough, it was there that it was in the hospital that they stopped giving me my antidepressant. They were supposed to give it to me,
Okay.
which was actually a good thing because the antidepressant was actually contributing to my insomnia.
Mm.
So I was given an antidepressant, which was supposed to be helping me with depression, which is actually a very common thing that they do for women in perimenopause rather than giving them hormones, they give them antidepressants. Somehow, how the chemicals in my brain work, it was contributing to my insomnia. So I'm having hot flashes, I'm having insomnia, and and then this thing was actually making. So anyway, so that stopped. So as soon as I had my first decent night's sleep, right after my hysterectomy.
Mm.
And it wasn't because of sleep medication. I had my first decent night's sleep. And from there, the only thing that would wake me up was hot flashes. So I could have easily 5 or 6 hot flashes a night, but it wasn't
Wow.
insomnia. It was the hot flash would wake me up and then I'd go back to
Right.
sleep and wake me up. So,
Okay.
so I started taking estrogen.
Describe a hot flash for us.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Everyone's different. So many people describe them differently, but I think it's important.
For me, there's a physiological arousal in my body. There's an anxiety attached to it. I get wound up,
Mhm.
and my body from the inside out gets so hot. And there's such an agitation because of that anxiety. There's an agitation that is I believe it's your nervous system. It's a nervous
Mhm.
system
Mhm.
agitation that
Mhm.
is associated with that. And that can last anywhere from a few seconds, like 30 seconds, to a cycle. Like
Mhm.
you cool down a little bit, you get hot again. You cool down a little bit, you get. I've had nights where I'll wake up around 3 or 4 in the morning and I will have an hour of cycling hot flashes.
Yeah.
And
So
it's awful.
nobody said anything to me. I never heard anyone talk about the whole anxiety thing.
Yeah,
And
me
anxiety
neither.
is not a good way to talk about it. I have
No, it's
not
not.
figured out
Mm-mm.
the right um description of it. But it's not a mental anxiety.
No, no, no,
It
no,
is
no.
it is like your whole body becomes
A
alive and
Mhm.
agitated.
Agitated. Really agitated is the better word.
Yeah, and it's just like this
It's
unsettledness, like you
co
feel like you have to move or you
Yes.
have to.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
what's interesting for me
mhm.
is I noticed I was having things like, well, no, I didn't notice. I was having that experience before even the heat joined it. So I would
Yes.
have periods of time
Mm.
when this is one that I would start I I I didn't know how to handle it, and sometimes I would find myself saying things like, "Yeah, well," like I didn't have a or, I would just say, like I was gonna start a conversation because I was so and then I'd have
Mm.
nothing to say, and I wasn't actually wanting to talk, and one time
Mm.
one night I would not even realize I was doing it. At one point, I had said, "You know, yeah, and Chris finally said, "Are you gonna actually say something?"
Oh, wow.
But I wasn't even aware that I was doing it, but it was like my whole being was
Yeah.
so I it was like it was
Yeah.
firing, like
Yeah.
every nerve was
Yeah.
firing, and I was so it feels like this anxiety type
Yeah,
thing
the
going
it's
on.
not real, but you're right. It's not really anxiousness. It's
No.
agitation is a better way to describe it.
Yeah,
And is
or misfiring, like every nerve in your being, your body misfire. Like I said,
Mhm.
I used to say, I feel like I have restless leg syndrome, but it's not my legs, it's my whole body.
It's really coming from your core, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's everywhere. Like for me, it's
Yeah.
everywhere. Like I just have this. So that was going on
Interesting.
for a long
Years.
time, like probably years before it was ever associated with a hot flash. And then the funniest part, like, I know we're kinda going back to my story, but the
No, no,
funniest
no.
part was I was preaching
When you had your first hot flash?
when I figured out that's what it was,
Oh my word,
because
that's
I'm
terrible.
in the middle of preaching, and I'm feeling, the warmth, the agitation or whatever, but I'm so focused on preaching, right? Like,
Yes.
I'm just kind of ignoring it or whatever, and then the heat,
Oh
and
my word.
but I've always been a person who runs hot. Like I
Right.
always run hot. So
Mhm.
it was easy for me to kind of just think, man, I really wish they turned the air on in here. Like
Mm, mm.
I was blaming it on my surroundings.
Mhm.
But this time I'm preaching, and from the bottom of my glasses up rose a very clear
Wow.
line of steam or, condensation on my
Yeah.
glasses. And it just rose and rose and rose. And I'm talking it was so hot. I was so hot that it was just a clear line going across to the point when I realized that's what was happening because I couldn't see. And mind you, I'm preaching. So
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of paying attention to something completely different. I finally had to
Yeah.
take my glasses off and wipe them off and then put them back on. And then it went away. But
Wow.
that's when afterwards I was talking with my husband about it on the way home and I was like, I think that might have been a hot flash.
Yeah.
So that was the first one that I mean, I know I'd had them before, but that was the first time that it
Yeah.
was like, this is not normal. This is something else.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So
So
when you were doing the thinking, like the before the heat came, did you ever think like I'm going crazy? Like there's something wrong with my brain. Like I can't
yes,
think
and
clearly. I can't.
it was especially bad at night.
Oh.
It was or that's when I noticed it the most,
Yeah, okay.
was when I was trying to sleep. So for
Mm.
me, the bleeding was an issue, which I never attributed to this.
Mm.
Spotting in between my periods,
Mhm.
or having more than a spot, but most of the time it's just spotting in between my periods. And then this agitation, or
Mhm. Mhm.
um, yeah, that that needles throughout my, not needles because it wasn't painful, but just this restlessness throughout
Mhm.
my entire
Mhm.
being.
Mhm.
Um, because I would at night, and it was interesting. I would at night have to. It would be so bad. I would find myself either wanting to go eat or
Mhm.
drink. But it's
Mm.
interesting because eating and drinking can change physiologically what's going
Mhm.
on.
That's
Like,
true.
it can also, like, kind of short circuit things so that you
It's
can,
very true.
and give you a shot of dopamine or whatever it is
Yeah.
to kind of help with a
Yeah, right.
and so I would find myself sometimes being so bad at night that I would get up and go try to find something to eat and drink to kind of, like, calm me so that then I
Did it
could try
help?
to get back to sleep. Yeah, it did sometime, but it didn't help my weight.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, that really, um, that is important to talk about because
the weight.
the weight gain is
Okay, thank
like, it's unkind.
So yes, and with me, it's really interesting because so this all started in 2006,
Mhm.
with periods and stuff being off, and then it was 2016
Mm.
that no, I'm sorry, 2014. It was
Mm.
2016 when I was done. So 2014, so 8 years later,
Mhm.
the weight had become a real issue, and I
Mm.
decided I really needed to figure out something and go drastic. And I ended up cutting out all sugar, all
Mhm.
white flour,
Mhm.
all white rice, anything white,
Mhm.
any simple carbohydrates,
Mhm.
except for fruit. But I didn't. To me, with all the fiber and things like that, I would.
Mhm.
To me, that's a little different, and it has been
Mhm.
shown to be different. So,
Mhm.
um, uh, and I'm vegetarian, so, that meant, I was eating lots of fresh veggies, legumes,
Mhm.
I did eat whole grain bread, but, like, sprout bread, if I buy it from the
Mhm.
grocery store, like
Mhm.
Ezekiel 4:9, those kinda things. Um, anyway, and it that actually greatly helped, but we also know that anti-inflammatory diet which is essentially what I was doing,
Mhm.
can be very helpful.
Mm.
And anyway, I was successful in losing, almost 70 pounds,
Mhm.
and kept that off from 16 to 20.
Mhm.
And in 20, but it's interesting, in 20 is also when my menopause symptoms went through the roof.
Skyrocketed, yeah.
Yeah. All these other things I'd never even attributed to it.
Yeah.
And in 2020,
Yeah. That
struggling with depression, which of course then is just characterized as, we're all stuck in our houses, so everyone's depressed.
right.
Um, so that, uh, the hot flashes, extreme. It
Mhm.
was right before 2020 that the
Mhm.
first hot flash started, like in 19 sometime, that was, really bad. Anyway, and my weight, regardless of just eating the same
Yeah.
and doing the same, and even last year at my birthday, I hired a personal trainer, started working out really hard, and doing the same. Um, it's just been it's been unbelievable, and it's really fascinating because it's very different. I mean, I've struggled with weight my whole life. Um, that's not true.
Hmm.
Makes me angry that I even say that. Oof.
Mm.
Um,
Maybe the truth is you've been shamed about your weight for your whole life.
Yes, because I didn't fit other people's ideals.
Yeah.
No, eh, I've been conscious of my weight my whole life,
There
let's
you
put it
go. Yeah. Yeah.
that and so but this time since 2020, I tend to be an apple shape anyway, like a lot of much my belly has always been, like, where I tend to carry it and not in
Mhm.
my legs much and other things,
Mhm.
but my face, my cheeks, jowls, and my belly. Um, but this time, it's like that times 10. Like, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
It
Like,
yeah.
it's just not it's not normal, it's not the same,
And
and
the
it
and the level of powerlessness and helplessness that comes with that.
yeah, it's
Like, I'm
really
not doing anything wrong. I'm doing everything right. And and don't even add, the messages that we women get all the time. Just healthy, just considering what health is. I'm doing everything right, and I have no power over this.
I went to a gynecologist recently. We've moved, and so I'm in the process of, doing everything. Found a great generalist. I really appreciate her. Um, but felt like I need to go to gynecologist to kind of get some of these things figured out because
Mhm.
it's just getting worse, and I've really been struggling in the last year.
Mm.
So, but primarily, the two things that for me have been a problem when I went to her, I said the 2 things that are the biggest issue for me is I'm not sleeping and my weight.
Mhm.
And I mean, I have not slept normal in
Mhm.
forever.
Mhm.
I would have nights where I can just constantly every single like, literally, I'm looking at the clock, begging myself to sleep, like, just
Mhm.
wishing I could sleep.
Mm.
And looking at the clock every hour on the hour, every
Mhm.
single hour, all night long, until
Mhm.
finally at 4:30, I was just like, "Get up already. Like,
Mhm.
get up." It's more
Mhm.
pleasant to be awake and,
Mhm.
do something than to toss and turn and toss and
Mhm.
turn and toss and turn. And, I've tried everything that everyone says.
Mhm.
None of it worked.
Mhm.
None of it
Mhm.
worked. And, melatonin might help me get to sleep, but it
Mm.
didn't keep me
Keep you
asleep.
asleep. Mhm.
And when I say it didn't keep me asleep, I would take it, fall asleep, and an hour later, I'm looking at the clock.
You're awake. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, anyway, so I went to the doctor with those 2 things, and we when it came to the discussion on weight, her advice was I no, let me start off. I
Mm.
told her in talking about it as a problem, I explained the history, I explained how I eat, I explained, what I eat and all of it and what I've been doing and how I've been doing, trying to, I just want to be healthy.
Mhm.
Like I'm at the point, I'm 54 years old. I just don't care anymore.
Mhm.
So if my husband adores me and I mean, adores me. Right.
Mhm.
And so, and I'm I'm okay to just be whatever it is I'm intended to be,
Mhm.
but I want to be healthy.
Mhm.
And so I'm eating well, I'm, doing the things I need to do and I'm just gaining weight. Like
Mm.
I would every single week go get on the scale and be 2 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
Like at some
Yeah.
point that's like
Yeah.
I'm going through a size a month,
Yeah.
and that's just not okay. So anyway, so I go to her asking about that and I tell her I know how to eat.
Yeah.
That is not the issue.
Right.
Um, I'm working out
Yeah.
to build muscle. That is
Yeah.
not the issue.
Yeah.
And after dealing with some of the other things and talking about some things and making some decisions on some things, her response to me about my weight was, "I'm not a weight doctor, but I would if it keeps going this direction, we can have you talk to a nutritionist, because the facts are when you get older, you just need to be eating less,
That's ridiculous.
which is saying
It's your fault.
you're just eating too much. And
Which is not true.
and it was hard. It's just hard not to be heard,
Yes.
Like, because to say you need to go speak with a nutritionist is to say you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And I've done a lot of research. And please, if you want to get in contact with us and talk about episodes, please do. This is not the one to give us all the things that we should be doing. Just save your breath, because I won't read it. I'm sorry.
You do not apologize for that.
Oh.
There's no essential oil out there, or no vegan diet that is going to change this. This is purely about hormones. Period. Full stop.
Well, and if something has worked for you,
Yeah.
that is great.
Wonderful.
I've tried a
More power
lot of
to-
different things. Just trust me.
Yeah.
I've been shamed in this area of my
Yeah.
life since forever. So I know a lot of different things and have tried
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah.
So don't assume that there is some magic thing out there that is, I just haven't
Yeah.
tried yet. So just please don't. And if God wants me to do some magic thing that I have yet to discover, he'll help me find
He'll
it.
tell you. Yeah. Exactly.
So just save it. But you said, so back to you, you said that you started taking estrogen.
I started taking estrogen, and it really, really made a difference. It made a difference.
What were the good parts?
The depression went away,
Mm.
and I slept better.
Okay.
I slept better. I still struggled with sleep.
Mm.
I still took valerian to help me sleep, because there was that little bit of, agitation. I don't know how else to call it.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I looking back, I think it is really about nighttime. And possibly it's because during the day we're using that energy.
Yes.
To,
But when you're
to live
trying to be
life.
still, yes,
Yeah.
it's more acutely, you're more acutely aware of it.
Yeah. So the thing with estrogen is, and my doctor put me on it right away. She was very honest, saying, this, and I asked about the breast cancer thing, and she's like, that is not as true as people think it is. This is what the research is showing us. And I still had hot flashes. They were less powerful, and there were fewer of them. And that time between 3 and 5 in the morning is when they would hit me. So I would lose sleep during that. Like I probably woke up 4 to 5 times a night. And especially during that time. So it still was not the best sleep. It was not whatever, So I did that. So I had my hysterectomy when I was 49. And just 3 months ago, I'm 55 right now. So 5 years. I've been listening to podcasts. There are many more women that are talking about this. And on one podcast, it was suggested that you find someone who is a certified menopause specialist. And I happened to find one in Greenville, so I made an appointment with her. She checked my hormones. She wanted to see what was going on. I told her my symptoms of what was happening, told her the hysterectomy, and I can't remember. I don't know what the rules are. I think it's if you have a uterus, you should take progesterone or something.
Correct.
Right.
Yes, correct. If you don't have one, you don't need to take it according to medical whatever advice. And if you do have your uterus still, you need to take progesterone to help.
What she told
to protect you against cancer.
What she told me is, she asked me, why did you have a hysterectomy? And I said, this is what my doctor found. And as soon as I mentioned endometriosis, she said, okay, we can give you progesterone, because progesterone will keep you from getting endometrial cancer.
Hmm.
So even though I don't have a uterus, she thought it would be in my best interest to take progesterone. She also changed my estrogen from a tablet to a patch.
Mm-hmm.
So she said when she checked my levels, she's like, your estrogen looks good. Like you're getting you have the estrogen that you need. And if you do the patch, it's better for your liver. So currently now I have my little estrogen patch and I change it twice a week. And I take my 200 milligrams of progesterone, and my life is absolutely gloriously wonderful. I sleep. I can have days where there are no hot flashes whatsoever. I did not have a hot flash last night. Like, and they're not even hot flashes. The agitation is completely gone.
Mm-hmm.
And how I describe them now is I just get a little warm for a very short time and then I go right back to sleep. Like I don't have to get up and go to the bathroom. I don't have to move. I'm like, oh, it's a little hot. Okay, I'm gonna go back to sleep now. Like it's amazing. It is
And I would like
amazing.
I would like to say, in all of my research and listening to many, many experts in this field, and both of us have listened to a lot.
Lots.
But all of the studies that were saying women should not be on hormone replacement, there was a lot of bad research that was done in that.
Bias, maybe? Yeah.
And they have found I will just say this, that if you take hormone replacements within 5 to 10 years of menopause, so not perimenopause, but menopause. So when you've gone, you know, completely stopped having your periods for a year. Once you've done that, you have like a 10-year window. And if you start taking them in that 10 years, it actually reduces heart disease instead of contributing to it. It reduces heart disease. It reduces chances of cancer. It reduces I can't even remember, but it's like all of the things. The only one that does not reduce is breast cancer, chances of breast cancer. But if there aren't other things going on, basically it's a negligible, it's a teeny amount of possible increase of, the possibility of breast cancer, but it's so minute that it's not, it really doesn't offset all the other things.
Nope.
So because heart disease and some of those others is huge. And we do have good ways of testing for breast cancer.
Right.
Some of those other things, and some of those other things we don't do as well. So anyway, it is definitely not what we had heard. And not what I grew up believing. I mean, I really remember it having this sort of bias that you don't want to do that because you're gonna because you're increasing your chances of cancer and heart disease and all the other things. And it's not that way at all. I do want to say this as well, that in that theme, I really had a great bias towards it. And it was one of the other things that was a big issue for me was I just felt like this is a normal process of life. And so, like anything else, it's kind of, you have periods, nobody likes them, but you have them. And so we just deal with it. And I just really came into this with the attitude that I was just going to deal with it.
So one more time, we women are told, because I'm not saying that you learned that somewhere.
Right.
We women are told when you suffer, you have to just deal with it.
Yeah.
Whether it's you're suffering with your periods, or you're suffering through childbirth, or you're suffering through nursing, or you're suffering through menopause, we get the message from society that when we suffer, we have to tolerate it with a smile on our faces. And if a man suffers, I'm sorry. I'm actually not sorry. That is the message that we get. When a man
Yeah.
suffers, we're going to do everything we can to keep him from suffering.
Yeah. So, with that in mind, I truly believed I would never do anything
Mm.
except live a healthy lifestyle.
Mm.
But I am here to tell you, like when I went to the doctor, and even though she didn't really get the whole listening to me about my diet, I will tell you that there were several other areas that I think she is more of an expert in, that she
Mhm.
is I really appreciated what she had to say. And we also decided that I would try
Mhm.
going on estrogen. I also have the
Mhm.
patch, probably have the same one,
Mhm. I would
and
imagine.
progesterone, and I take that every night. Um,
Isn't it wonderful? It just puts me
and
right.
I have to tell you, it was like days after, like it didn't take
Yes.
long,
Yes.
days after, where I woke up in the morning and realized I had dreamed.
Wow.
I can't remember the last time I dreamed.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Like it had been probably a decade.
Yeah.
And what it felt like to wake up having slept,
Yeah.
not tossing and turning, like
Yeah.
slept,
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
slept. And it has only gotten better. Like the other day, Chris got up, he got his shower, he
Mhm.
ironed his clothes in the same room that I'm
Mhm.
sleeping in. He and not in the dark. And he's getting ready for work and doing all the things. And then he was getting like our breakfast kind of morning time together is really important to me. And sometimes we're not
Mhm.
even eating, but having
Mhm.
a cup of coffee or whatever,
Mhm.
but we just spend a little time together in the morning, and those times are really important to me. And it's been so long since I've slept that I
Mm.
was just always so happy to get up and jump up and
Mhm.
be about
Mhm.
the day.
Mhm.
And the other day he got up, he went and made some coffee, and he started a breakfast, a little breakfast for us and whatever, and he was completely ready, and he came back and woke me up. I
Imagine
can't
that.
remember, like, being woken
Isn't
up.
something?
And like, going from asleep, 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 like,
Yeah.
really asleep, to
Yeah.
trying to wake up, that feeling, I haven't had it in 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years.
I can't help but think, Beth, the toll on your system
Right.
to the I mean the I know there are going to be people who are listening to this that believe that doing hormone replacement is a terrible thing that we are doing to our bodies.
Mhm.
Okay, I know that there are people that are listening that believe that. Okay, fine. However, and
And
the toll of not sleeping for 20 years.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's outrageous. That it
it
is okay. That is beyond suffering. That is inhumane.
yeah, sleep impacts everything else.
Everything.
And it's one of those, you know, other things can also impact sleep.
Yes.
And so you end up in this vicious cycle of
Cycle.
trying to figure it out. But
Mhm.
bottom line, when you are
Mhm.
not sleeping,
Mhm.
and we know that sleeping pills, all of that, that's not really sleeping.
Mm-mm.
So that's a
Mm-mm.
different thing.
Tried that. Mm-mm.
Um, but not sleeping is profound. And I'm
Mhm.
here to tell you, if you are somebody out there and you are not sleeping, don't rest until you get it figured
Figure it
out.
out. And it
Because
could be your hormones. Go find some. And if your first doctor doesn't listen to you, go find somebody else.
yeah, I've already started grieving the day when they tell me I need to go off my
Yeah,
hormones.
actually, me too. I've got 5 years. I have 5 years of good sleep, and I don't know what I'm gonna do when I'm 60, because that's my 10-year mark. Because I mean, we greeted menopause with a hysterectomy, and I'm very grateful for my hysterectomy. I really,
Yeah,
really am, because I think right now I might have uterine cancer. I had polyps.
Right.
Just like polyps in your colon is
Yep.
precan I had polyps in my
Yep.
uterus.
Yep.
So, yeah, I've got 5 years.
And yes,
You got
I know.
10 though. Woohoo.
I'm just I'm just gonna
I'll
embrace it.
celebrate with you.
I just think I have to be thankful for this time and these moments of sleep and uh the rituals that I have done in bed for the last 10, 15 years
Mhm.
trying to get to sleep. Like I
Mhm.
I don't need any of those crutches anymore. Like I just get into
Mhm.
bed and kiss my husband goodnight, turn
Mhm.
over and turn off the light, and I go to sleep. Like, it's unbelievable. For me, also hot flashes. I can't remember having one in the last. I just refilled my
Prescription.
subscription, my prescription, my prescription for the patch, and just put the first new one on. So it's just been a month that I've been taking it, and I'm telling you, the difference is just unreal.
It's unbelievable.
Unreal.
I feel like a human again.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. My only problem is I've had 2 tiny, unexplainable little pimples, which is a little irritating.
Oh.
Um, when I first started taking it the very first week,
Mhm.
um, like 2 to 3 times total in the week, um, I was just, going about my day, and all of a sudden I got this, like, wave of nausea, but it was literally a wave
Mm.
and then gone. Like,
Mhm.
just it didn't
Mhm.
last, it didn't hang on, it just this little wave and then gone, and I have to tell you, I did not do well with birth control.
Oh, I
W
didn't.
I got very sick, very
Mhm, mhm,
emotional,
mhm,
cried at
mhm,
everything, like,
mhm,
I was a complete
mhm,
wreck. And
mhm,
so that was another reason why I was uninterested in taking hormone replacements. I mean,
mhm,
to me, I saw it as the same thing as taking birth control.
mm,
But I've had none of that. Like it's been
mm.
exactly the opposite. I mean, I feel more joyful. Um, I'm other than those few waves, and literally that was the first week. I haven't had any since
Yeah,
then. Um, and being able to sleep and no hot flashes.
yeah,
It's
it
just
really is
it's
something,
really I
isn't it?
haven't noticed any major change in my weight. I know people are wondering, but we'll see. But I will tell you, just feeling better and sleeping
Mhm,
makes me much more excited about life in
mhm,
general and working hard at other things in life. And
mhm.
so, I'm hopeful.
Mhm.
I'll just put it
Yeah,
that way. I'm
yeah,
hopeful.
yeah,
But it has really been remarkable. Remarkable.
yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Really is amazing.
All right, we don't have much time left,
Oh,
but I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
so for both of us, hormone treatment has been
A godsend.
a godsend.
Yep.
Um, any other joys that have like parts of this that have I will say I just this week am officially in menopause. Like I can now say I've gone a full year without a period.
Mm,
So literally my last period, which wasn't much of one, but it was one, was on
mhm,
my birthday last year.
mm.
And so which I find really ironic. And then this I'm always gonna remember.
Yeah, right.
Um, but so this week I am officially in menopause, and I'm telling you, for someone who's had her period since she was 9 and a half, just being without a period
Isn't it
is
wonderful?
glorious.
Oh, yes.
It is the only other time I've not had a period was when I was pregnant,
Pregnant.
and that is not the same thing.
Nope.
I'm telling you, it is
Mhm,
incredible. Just
mhm,
incredible.
mhm. For sure.
So I'm loving that part of it.
For
It
sure.
makes intimacy with my husband so much more fun
Mhm.
because we're not in this, I was always in this very much this we had, our sex life was very cyclical,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
because of our, the menstrual cycle, right?
Right.
So there was because I listen, everyone does their own thing. I get it, and that's fine. But for me, periods were awful.
Mm.
And so so you have the week of that, and then you have how you're feeling immediately following, and the
Mhm.
wave of hormones throughout that cycle. There were times when I was very
Mm,
eager and times not
mhm.
so eager,
Not
and
so eager.
if those times didn't line up with life,
Mhm.
anyway, let's just say the the evenness that comes with how things are now.
Mhm.
There aren't the ups and downs of hormones,
Yeah.
and especially taking hormones. It's just this level,
Yeah.
like, constantness.
Yeah.
Ah, it's glorious.
Wonderful.
So it's not
Absolutely
something
wonderful.
to dread or fear.
Yeah.
You just have to
My
figure out how to do it.
one of the TikToks I was watching with Dr. Mary Claire is she said, when people's thyroids stop working and they need thyroid hormone, we give it to them. And so she actually views menopause as a time when we're losing
Mhm.
hormones and we don't need to feel shame for replacing those hormones.
Yeah. Yeah, and just so you know, we're not watching when we say TikTok, it's easy for people to think, that it's, like, not a professional person, but she
Oh, no,
is a
she
she is
no, I can find her.
no,
I can find her
she
online anywhere else. She is yeah, she's
this is her
she's a
specialty.
reputable, and
It's her
that's why she's on
specialty.
TikTok is so she can reach women like you and
Correct.
me
That's right.
with good information.
That's right. And she and it, and it's not just her. We're not only listening
Right.
to the you know suggestions of one doctor.
Right.
We've listened to multiple
Mhm.
people and done research and read and
Mhm.
looked at things, and then talking with our own physicians, which I think
Mhm.
is important as well. So
Mhm.
anyway, we're not doing this blindly,
Mhm. Right.
either of us,
Right.
either of us,
Exactly.
whatever.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so there we go. Part 1 of menopause.
I will tell you, not to get way too personal, because we have an episode coming up soon that we're going to talk about. But some of the weeds still, because there's still some things that hormones haven't, just magically fixed, like they did sleeping. Um, Incontinence, especially when coughing,
Or sneezing
laughing.
mhm.
There's so many jokes we could make about
Or
that.
standing up sometimes when you don't realize you have to go, and then all of a sudden, "Holy cow, I better go now."
And why do we talk about this kind of thing? I think it's important because we shouldn't it shouldn't be this shaming, challenging
Right.
thing. I mean,
Right.
why do we have this challenge? For me, birthing 3 children and, being older. I mean, it
Right.
is
Yes,
something that
exactly.
women deal with,
It is being older. Mhm.
and we need to acknowledge that and not see it as, it's not the end of the world. If you
Mhm.
need to, like, I said something to my physician about it, and she I told her I'm not ready to wear diapers, like, as a joke, right? Like, I'm not ready. And she
Right.
said, "You don't have to wear a diaper, but at this point in your life, wearing a pad, that is designed for that might be a smart thing to
See,
do."
I don't
And
yes, and I don't think we need to be that way. Mm, that's why I'm
no,
really glad we're having a pelvic floor specialist come on.
yes. So, but that
Mhm.
was okay. So I understand what she's saying, but
Mhm.
I'm not willing to be
Exactly.
that. Like, if that's truly it, that's fine. But that's also like saying at this point in your life, you can't be expected to sleep through the night.
Yeah, I'm not okay with that.
And I've heard that, right?
Yeah.
There are people that say just because you're old, you're not going to sleep. Well,
Yeah.
Not ready for that yet. I think that there's got to be some anyway. So I did some research.
Yeah.
And in the process ended up finding a woman. She's and she is coming on. It'll be sometime in May that the episode drops, I believe, or the 1st of June. And she is a pelvic floor specialist, which happens to be a physical therapist.
Mm-hmm.
So there are things that we can
We can
do
do.
more than just a Kegel squeeze. So and that's what, everyone just says, squeeze your way to health. Like, no, yes, but, and.
Yes.
So anyway, we are having her on.
Yeah.
And she's going to talk to us about that. And that health also is pelvic floor health has to do with what I was just talking about, incontinence, but also sexual health and other things. And so it's a great thing for us to talk about. So anyway, she's coming on. I'm very excited about that.
Me too.
So
Me too, because I've actually been thinking about finding a pelvic floor specialist because I'm tired of leaking. Like, I just don't like it. And I think I'm aging gracefully. Like, I think I'm embracing 55, aging gracefully, and I'm not letting that go down without a fight.
And you're working out.
Exactly.
And you're eating healthfully. And we're going to figure out what we can do for that region of our body as well.
I'm not just going to fall apart.
Correct.
Yep.
Like yes.
Yep.
Because and this is frankly a bigger conversation, and maybe a conversation that we also need to have at some point. But aging in general, we don't do well in this country. There is a lack of valuing. And I remember my grandmother was as sharp as a tack, like literally till the day she died. I mean, she was as sharp as a tack. And one day she woke up absolutely out of her mind. And so we take her into the doctor. And I'm here to tell you, because she was 92 years old. Well, she's 92.
That's terrible.
I'm like, yesterday, she was not 92. Today, you're saying she's 92. Something's wrong. Like, it's not just that she's aging, because you don't just wake up
Right.
without a mind that you had yesterday.
Right.
That's not normal. But I had to literally fight for her. What they finally found out was, for some reason, her sodium level had plummeted into she had no sodium. Lack of sodium makes your mind go crazy.
So they were going to let her be 92
Crazy.
and not check anything. That's nuts.
Checked her thing, found out that was the issue, gave her some saline,
and then she was back to herself
again. So, do you see what I'm saying? Like, we have a tendency to not value quality of life for the elderly the way we should. And this is part of it. And especially for women. But anyway, that's beside the point. Not beside the point, it's beside the point. Okay. It's been an hour. Sorry.
I know. Oh, no, I don't think we need to be sorry at all. In the last 24 hours, Miss Beth, what has brought you joy, laughter, or a smile?
Yesterday, we spent a day as a family, just Chris and I, and then our daughter came over. She lost her dog a week or so ago, and she just wanted to be here. So she came over, and we did literally nothing. Like, we just enjoyed each other's company and talked, and we just were with each other.
That's so nice.
And it was so nice and so blessed. I mean, it was a beautiful, beautiful Sabbath day of just great rest together. And anyway, part of the grieving process, it's not instantaneous. And it's been a journey for her. So and for us. So we just wanted to, spend a day just kind of being. So that's what we did.
That's really neat. I know what that's like, because I actually have the privilege of doing that every Monday with my own girl. She just comes and we're just together, and it's so nice. It feels awesome. So good.
Yeah.
Yesterday, again, we're going back to yesterday. I had the privilege of speaking at a Hispanic church about an hour away from us. And I did these communication activities with them in the afternoon because they wanted me to talk about effective communication. I sat on the platform. You know how the platform has little stairs? And so I sat on, the top stair, and I'm looking out into the congregation, and there were probably maybe 30, 40 people in there.
Okay.
And everybody is in pairs. Everybody's looking in each other's eyes. Some are leaned in, and they're having conversations. Because I did the speaker listener. Simple technique. But there was one. They were right in the front row, and it was a father and an 11-year-old daughter. And the level of adoration and delight, and I think I was impacted more by the delight in his eyes as his little girl is just talking. It just really, and I know I'm tearing, but I had such an overwhelm of affectionate joy for for everybody who was in there, because there were some couples, and there was some fathers and sons, and it was just a beautiful thing to just see people looking at other people and telling each other, right now, you're the only person that matters.
Wow.
It was beautiful. It was so beautiful.
Wow. The importance of listening.
Yeah. Which
hearing.
we're not very good at.
No, we're not. But do it today,
Yeah.
Go out and do it today, and really listen to the people in your life.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thanks, Kim, for
Thank
being willing to
you.
talk about this.
Are you kidding? Whatever. We can't talk about it. We got issues.
I know. Probably, never mind. We'll talk about it. All right.
Yeah, right.
Well,
everybody go have a great day and a great weekend.
Sounds great. Thanks. Bye. Thank you so much for joining us today. We would really love to hear from you. So please find us. We're on Facebook and Instagram. Just search for Joy in the Weeds. You can also email us. Our email address is joy@carolinasda.org. That's joy@carolinasda.org. Now, we hope that today, as you navigate the weeds, you will also hold on to moments of joy. This podcast is a production of the Carolina Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.